This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Tracy James, and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are, well, off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs and talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Jamie Cochrane is joining me to talk chaos theory and dinosaurs with Jurassic Park. Welcome!
Thank you. Chaos theory.
I know we're both very excited to talk about this movie because this movie is great. That's just it. Well, at least the first one.
The first one is really great. I'm really excited to talk about this. I have been waiting for years since you started this podcast. Since day one, you mentioned you're doing a podcast, and I signed up for Jurassic Park, and that was like, what, 3 years ago?
I think 4 years ago. Close to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every day for the last 4 years, I've been thinking about this moment.
We finally made it. It's happening.
We made it. Yeah, and I rewatch the first movie fairly regularly. It's definitely my favorite movie. I don't always rewatch the other ones, so this kind of forced me to do that again. So I did that on last weekend. I watched the first 3 and then Jurassic World, the 4th one. I did not rewatch the 5th one, the second Jurassic World.
I don't remember what it was called either, which is very sad. I don't know. I find those two movies sort of miss the point of like the first Jurassic Park, and it kind of drives me crazy.
Okay, I'm curious why you think that. Like, why? What's the point of Jurassic Park? Maybe we start there, and then how did it miss that?
Well, okay, so if you watch the first Jurassic Park movie, the first movie, yes, it is about a man who is playing God and creates brings to life something that has been extinct for 61 million years or whatever they say in the movie. Fine. But if you pay attention to the movie, you don't actually see a lot of dinosaurs in it. They're not on screen for a very long time because the story is not about the dinosaurs. The story is about the people and coming to terms with the idea of, which they say all the time, chaos theory, playing God, having control of certain situations, and human connection, right? That's what this is really about. But the further away you go from that first movie, the more the focus is on the dinosaurs, not an actual story being told. And yes, I think Jurassic World, not Jurassic World 2, whatever it is kind of good. It's okay, right? Because they do bring in family, and they do bring in a backstory to this new version of Jurassic Park and stuff. But again, the focus is, look how cool this dinosaur is, not look at these people, they're figuring shit out, so that's what I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think in terms of story, the first movie obviously has the best story, and then it sort of there's really no story after that. Like, especially like the third one is just like, what is this?
Yeah,
pretty terrible. Jurassic World, it was interesting because I think I've only seen Jurassic World 3 times. And the first time I watched it, I was really angry.
Yeah.
I really did not like that movie. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that like Chris Pratt is some sort of like dinosaur whisperer. Just like, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? And like, why? And like, I get that it's not the most realistic movies of all time, but like, I was like, weird. They came out of left field for me that he was like this dinosaur whisperer. The idea of this, the park kind of evolving and still existing, and sort of like this commentary on like people and, you know, how we, you know, treat animals and how we capitalize off things, I thought was like an interesting idea. But to your point, like, I mean, there's not enough like character development, even though like the premise itself, I think, is good. It's kind of lost. Like, the script wasn't as strong as the first one. The character development wasn't as strong. But overall, like, the idea of it's not bad. Like, and there's definitely, obviously, there's a lot of dinosaurs, which I like. I'm not complaining about the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But you know what? I hated that movie the first time I saw it. And the second time I saw it, I hated it a little less. And then watching it this time, it wasn't as bad to me. And I think part of it was like, I really got hung up on a lot of things the first time. And then by the third time, I was like, you know what? What's really bugging me about this movie? And like, it's still just like a really enjoyable movie. Like, it's a fun movie to watch. And I don't know, it's kind of grown on me a little bit, to the point that I think I might like it more. Well, I definitely like it more than the third movie. And then I'm just kind of like, the second movie, I'm like, I don't know, I kind of maybe like them the same. Which maybe is not even saying that much, because the second one's not that great of a movie, but like, I definitely enjoy it more than the third movie. That's clear to me now, and I'm not sure it was clear to me before.
Well, I think the thing with the second, like, Lost World and Jurassic World, is that their base story is the same. I think it just focuses on greed, despite like safety and lessons that have been previously learned. That's so true. They're on the same level that way, I think, because like Jurassic World is just them going like, we're going to still build a zoo, but we're going to take it to the mainland, because, you know, money, because, you know, company and investors, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to think of some new thing to do instead of going back to old ideas. And Jurassic World is, what if they did actually recreate something new, and they thought they had control, but then they still want to make more money, and they got to figure out a new way to make more money, make new dinosaurs, which is just a crazy thing to do in the first place. And I think that's probably why you like them on the same level, because you can see the point of those two movies. Whereas the third movie, you're just like, there's no point to this movie.
There's literally no point to that movie. There's not even like redeeming qualities to that movie. No. It's just like, it's not good. And there's no point to it. And all the commentary that the other films kind of make on, you know, to your point on capitalism and exploitation of animals and all of these things, it's like, doesn't exist in the third one. There's no substance to it, I guess.
Yeah. It's just like, I understand that it's two worried parents wanting to find their kid. That's fine. But everything they do is wrong. And then in the first 5 minutes of the movie, the three tough guys who are supposed to protect them die immediately. And you just have people wandering, yelling and screaming. You're just like, you all should be dead by now, because everything you're doing is wrong. Everything. Yes. And they're not even like likable people, you know? So it's very frustrating.
They're not. Nobody in that movie is really likable. There's like nothing. The characters in it are just like aren't. I don't know. They don't sit well. I don't. Well, they're kind of just.
Yeah, I find they're not fully developed characters. Like, there's There's no evolution in them. You get a very basic backstory that you find out was a lie, and then you get a new backstory, which is also equally as lame. You meet the kid, and you're just like, how could you possibly survive here? That makes no sense. And then you have like, you know, what did I call him? The like the intern or whatever. Oh, I called him a poor man's Bradley Cooper. Because I think he looks like Walmart Bradley Cooper. I don't know.
Billy?
Yeah. The first time I saw him, I was just like, Bradley Cooper's in this? And then he turned his face. It's like, oh no, that's not him. I was like, all right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And yeah, like, and that guy, you're just like, so for no reason, you're stealing eggs, even though you're a student, blah, blah, blah. Just like, oh, it was going to make us money. And you're just like, oh, is this your attempt at bringing the capitalism back into it? It's not working. It just seems forced and pointless. You know, it's just a whole, and like even the action sequences were kind of lame and bad, and the CG looks worse than the first movie. And I was like, yeah, what are you talking? What is happening here?
Yeah, and I think too, because the characters are so unlikable, having none of them die was like, I don't know, disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it's like even Billy doesn't die. Like in the end, he's like on the helicopter or the boat or whatever, and
magically
Grant comes in and magically he's still alive, which doesn't make any sense. And like, I don't know. It's like, couldn't someone die in this movie?
Yeah. Like, I know it sounds horrible to say so, but it's true. Like, if there's no actual peril in it, then you don't feel unsafe. Like, you don't feel for the characters. You don't feel how unsafe it is for them. You don't feel the danger of them. Even though, like, at the beginning of the movie, 3 people you just met and you literally know nothing about get eaten. You're just like, oh, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Is it supposed to make me feel something?
It's kind of similar in Jurassic World, where it's, you know, because for some reason they're friends with the dinosaurs now. Like there's like a relationship there that like they can't be harmed by the dinosaurs. So it takes away like the threat. I don't remember what Chris Pratt's character's name is in that movie.
Okay. We'll just call him, we'll call him Chris Pratt. It's fine.
Okay, so Chris Pratt is friends with the dinosaurs. He's friends with the raptors. And then, you know, the raptors are going to protect him throughout the movie. So then it's like, it's almost like, you know, nothing bad's going to happen to any of these people. And it just takes that threat away, makes it less scary than like a movie like the first movie or even the second movie, you know, where the dinosaurs are coming at them and you don't know what's going to happen next. And, you know, it creates that tension that you need in a movie. Whereas that, it almost created like, it was like a comedy rather than a thriller by having that element to it. And I think that's what made me so angry the first time I saw it, because I was like, this shouldn't be like a comedy. You know, it's supposed to be suspenseful, and they're taking all of those elements out of it and almost making it like a kid's movie, like a little kid's movie.
But I kind of think that's what they did purposefully, because I think that one has a lower rating than the first Jurassic Park, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because Jurassic Park is rated PG-13. Jurassic World. Oh, it is PG-13. Really? I would never have guessed.
That's good. I think, I mean, there is that one scene that's like pretty violent in it, where like the assistant is like,
oh my God, yes,
killed, and she's like eaten and like thrown around in the water and like drowning and stuff. And it goes on for a really long time. And it's actually by any of the movie standards, like pretty gruesome death. So I can see why that would help make it PG-13, because it really stands out as like, there's no other scene that comes close to that,
yeah.
in that movie.
Well, and that's the thing I found super mean about that movie, is that you introduce this character who's clearly just doing her job and trying to do her job correctly, and everybody around her is trying to make her life hard, and then you kill her in the most brutal way possible. And honestly, I saw that scene, I was just like, I just feel sorry for her. Like, I was just sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I noticed, this theme, like, where, like, the first two movies anyway, where they like kill the lawyers in like these really brutal way, and I'm like, it's like they have a thing against lawyers or something, because like each of them, it's like they save the most gruesome, graphic, horrific deaths for the lawyers. But then in that movie, there's no lawyer, but you have kind of someone who's suited up, right? And she's wearing like a dress suit kind of thing, and like she represents, I don't know, like the corporation, though I think like the idea of like greed and stuff didn't really come across through her, because she's just clearly like somebody's assistant. But then they reserved the most gruesome death again for someone in a suit, right?
Well, maybe it's one of those things where it's supposed to show the abuse of the lower class or something. Like, I don't know, because there's no way she's making like $100,000 a year being assistant. She's still going home to her, like studio apartment somewhere or whatever, but she gets a couple of perks a year going to the park. Like, I just think, I just thought it was just, I have no other way of saying this, but it's overkill is what it was. It was just overkill. But
for sure.
Yeah, but even the killing of the lawyer in the first one, yes, it was bad, but he just gets chomped on and that's it. And we don't see the rest of his, like, they find pieces of him in places, but you don't see him like being ripped apart, compared to in Jurassic World. There's the one guy in the Jeep who tries to save them when the thing's going off the cliff and stuff, and he gets thrown in the air and bitten in half and all kind of, you're just like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this right now? Like, it's so bad.
That's true. I'm trying to think in the second one. I guess it's kind of similar to the first one. It's like the lawyer at the end in the ship is like, he's basically just bitten in half, I think, right? I don't
think you actually get to see him die. I think because this is what it was. Okay.
Right, you're right. You are right.
Yeah, because he gets like, I think that he tries to run up the stairs and the daddy T-Rex bites his leg and throws him back down and sort of leaves him for the kid. And the kid takes a bite and he screams and like the doors close on the top of him. And you're just like, first of all, that's like being buried alive. That is very cruel to do. But I don't know if anybody knew he was actually down there.
Right.
But yeah, you don't actually see him die. And he's like the bad guy in it.
Wasn't it Grant who closed the button? Yes. Somebody pushed the button and must have known he was down there. I think it was Grant. Wasn't it, or no? Yeah, no, sorry, not Grant. No, he's not in the second.
No, he's not in the second one. It is Malcolm. Ian Malcolm. Yes,
somebody.
Yeah, he closed.
Somebody pushed them.
Yeah. So, like, I think also my problem with Jurassic World, like you've been speaking about Chris Pratt and stuff, is that as the quote unquote hero, I don't like him. He's a horrible. I don't know if it's Chris Pratt or if it's how the character is written. He just comes across as a complete dick. And you're just like, I don't want you to win. I'm fine with you not winning. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you would have thought they'd learned their lesson with the second movie, having Jeff Goldblum as like the protagonist in it, and him not really working in that role, because really in the first movie he's comic relief, he's like the support, right? And they put him in as the lead and it doesn't work. Like you need drama. Like you don't need a comedian like in the
I do want to disagree with you though. I don't mind Ian Malcolm as the protagonist in the second movie. I just think everything around him is just so ludicrous that it gets lost in the shuffle.
I don't know. I just don't think like that character had the potential to be the lead, and I didn't feel like it really worked. And I suspect it's kind of similar with Jurassic World. Again, was like trying to force kind of like somebody who's like funny but also dramatic, and like I don't know. It doesn't work. I don't know how to explain it, but to me, it just like.
No, I think you're explaining it perfectly well. For you, it just fell flat with him being in the lead. But to me, I think Jeff Goldblum's representation was a little bit more. I liked him more. Let's put it that way. But that may also been
I agree.
Like a leftover from the first movie, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I looked up Chris Pratt's character's name so that we can use it. It's Owen.
It's Owen
instead of saying Pratt. Yeah, so Owen. Yeah, no, I agree. I did like Malcolm more than Owen. Like I did enjoy that character more. I thought it was, but it also, I mean, he also had the first movie to kind of build and give that character more depth. Would it have worked if he wasn't in the first movie? Not at all. It would not have worked if he just showed up in the second movie. Like, but it still just, I don't know, something about it really didn't work for me.
I mean, I get it. I mean, a lot in the second movie just didn't work for me either. Like, I think, despite me liking Julianne more, I don't think she fit the role at all. My problem with Vince Vaughn now is that every time I see him, I expect him to make me laugh, and he didn't make me laugh in this movie, so I was very annoyed by it. And it was shit like that, right? And it's also like a thing that really bothers me about this movie, which the first movie didn't have, is that it has a lot of it's got what I like to call smart, stupid people in it. So it's like scientists, and you know, they've got like advanced degrees and PhDs and all this kind of stuff, and then they do the most ridiculous thing. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Why is that a thing you would think about doing? And compared to the first movie, where you have a bunch of very smart people, the people who do the stupid things are the people who don't have PhDs and stuff, and they die or get injured in ways that aren't their fault, right? Whereas I find like Jurassic World and stuff, it's like you're getting injured because you did something dumb. That is your fault. Like it's what you did that is wrong. So, and I think that's one of the differences as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is funny. Like, I mean, like Sarah, I think is Julianne Moore's character's name.
Yes.
She is like this smart scientist, but like her boyfriend has been to Jurassic Park before. Like, why are you there? Like, you must know how like terrifying it is to go there, and yet there she is, right? And then he follows her there. So yeah, it's I don't know, but still, like, and that's why I think with Jurassic World, and it's a toss-up for me, is because it's slightly more believable.
Okay.
This amusement park, and these kids are going to the amusement park, versus like you've heard about this island where all of the dinosaurs have like escaped their cages and taken over, and now you've decided to go there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's at least slightly more likely to happen Jurassic World than Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me about it too is that, like, in Jurassic World, when you meet the kids, they do kid things. And I'm like, okay, they meet legit child characters, which is awesome. Which is what they did with the first Jurassic Park movie. They're such amazing characters. What is it? Lex and Tim? Love those two. They're the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with the second one, like I said, with stupid smart people, is like you show up, you hear about Sarah, she's been in the jungle with like dangerous animals and primates, and she knows how to handle herself and beat downwind and all this kind of stuff. But as soon as we meet her, she does the one thing that a person who has been in that situation before would never do, which is go into the nest of a child when the large parents that can kill you are around. Yeah. Like, of course you're gonna get murdered. Of course they're gonna attack you. Yeah. Like, why is that a position you would want to put yourself in? Like, they would know not to do that automatically, you know?
You would think, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and Jurassic Park 3, where Billy steals the raptor eggs, like,
yeah.
Too bad Chris Pratt wasn't there to save him by whispering to the raptors that like everything's cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, exactly. Like, it just, like, that kind of stuff just made no sense. Like, but I think like Sam Neill's character, he did a lot of things, like they managed to keep his character correct in that third movie. But also it was just the dumbest situation to be in. Like what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
It just made no sense. But let's talk more about the first movie, the good one, the really, really good one that everybody loves, and you can't say anything actually bad about it except for a couple of continuity issues. I love that movie. I still get nervous at points. I still jump at points. And I have seen this movie. I can't count how many times I've seen this movie, including when it originally came out in the theater. My parents took me, saw it, yelled, screamed, jumped, the whole bit. Lucky. Yeah. And and still to this day, I was watching it. I'm like, I know it's coming. I know it's happening. Oh, geez, there it is. Okay, fine. So, like, it just sets the tension and it just sets the story so well right from the beginning that you can't help but fall into that world and just be a part of it.
Yes, definitely love the first movie and have since I was a little kid. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, like a million times. I never got to see it in theaters. I was only 8 when it came out, so I didn't quite make the cutoff for the PG-13 limit, which is probably for the best, because I think at 8 years old this movie would have severely traumatized me and I would have been terrified.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw it was when it came out on home video on VHS. I had it on VHS, and I was obsessed with dinosaurs when I was a kid. I wanted to be a paleontologist. I think even before I saw this movie, I was just like so into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That I used to watch this movie almost every day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Put it on all the time. Like, I still do. Like, I watch it, I don't know, like quite a few times a year. Like, I put it on a lot. It's on right now. Actually, the second one's on right now in the background.
Oh my God.
Just to put me in the mood, you know?
Yeah.
But I do. The first movie is just like, I don't know. I was just like awestruck by it the first time I saw it. I think like that scene where like you see the Brachiosaurus for the first time and all the, you know, the characters are reacting to it. And I think like everyone seeing that scene for the first time, it was jaw dropping in a similar way. And like, so memorable and incredible. It looked so real by the standards of 1993 or whatever. Still holds up. It still
it does. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I was gonna say that, like, even when I was watching it this weekend. So a thing I like to do is, like, if a movie is coming up, I'll try not to watch it for the year, like leading up to it.
Right.
So that's what I did. And like, I sat and watched it and I was just like, oh no, this shit holds up. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think the Brachiosaurus scene, the Triceratops scene where the Triceratops is sick, and
I love that part. Yeah,
having it's just like they really brought you in. Like the first scene of the movie is terrifying. There's a raptor ripping a man apart, and then it goes from like super scary movie to like, I don't know, like it's like being in a petting zoo or something, you know. It's like it brings you in, it gives you like this kind of like you feel the emotions, like you're a child seeing this dinosaur. It looks so real, and it's like you're living that dream, like, of seeing it, you know, this thing you never thought you would see, and there it is. And I don't know, the film just brings you into that, and there's something just so special about it. And then it goes back to being terrifying again as soon as it starts to rain, I think.
Yeah. And what's really funny about that is that, like, the beginning, it's dark, it's raining, blah, blah, blah. And then the action starts on this side when it's dark and it's raining and they're like trapped in the car, you know? So I think like that's maybe like a cue, be like, oh, be prepared, rain and darkness, bad things happen. Here we go again.
Yeah, it really sets like the atmosphere though, and it's dark, it's raining, you don't know what's gonna happen. There's so much tension, you know. It plays a bit with like it's really quiet, and then suddenly, boom,
very loud,
boom,
yeah,
boom, and then you know that T-Rex is coming, and like the water is like shaking in the car, and it's just like, oh, it just builds it so well. And even after seeing it a million times, I can be like, you know, doing the dishes or mopping the floor, and I've got Jurassic Park on, and I still put everything down for like a scene like that, and just like I can't look away even though I've seen it a million times. It's so good.
Yeah, it's true. You have to stop and watch it. Like, you have to look at it. Like, I mean, I know this movie back to front, beat by beat, but I actively, without having to force myself, like, I know there's some movies I've watched where I'm just like, I'd pick up my phone and be like, no, put it down. You're watching the movie. Like, you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, the movie starts, the music begins, and I'm just like mesmerized immediately, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, even if I get even the slightest bit distracted, when I know a good part's coming, gotta look, just, you know, like, even if I'm in the bedroom, run outside, have a look. Oh yeah, it's done. And then walk back away, you know, like you have to do it. It's just so grabbing, and like to witness it every time is just fulfilling every time. There's no, what is it? Diminishing returns. You know what I mean? Like, every time you look at it, you feel the exact same way almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, the scene with the raptors in the kitchen.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, still, like, I watched it this weekend and my heart was like racing. It still does that every single time I watch it. I know exactly what's going to happen. And I'm still like, you know, my eyes are glued to the screen. My heart races. And like, it is such an intense scene, and it is so well done.
Yeah. You're so like, you still think, I'm like, oh my God, there's a chance they're going to get eaten. There's, oh my God. And you're like, of course they're not going to get eaten. This is the 85th time we've watched this movie. You know this, but your whole body's just like, oh shit. You know, like, it's crazy. Yeah.
But again, it's like he's Steven Spielberg is like playing again with like sounds. It's like, it's so quiet when they're in that scene, you know, it's so quiet. And then it's like, you hear like the thump of like, the head, like hitting the I don't know what those things are called, like the kitchen counter thing,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The stainless steel kind of getting dented by the head as they go lean back because they're trying to hide from these raptors. But it's like, then you just kind of hear them breathing, and then you hear the nails of the raptor on the floor, and it's just so like, it's such a slow build. Like there's no use of music at that point. No, it's all isn't. Just like subtle noises, so much silence, and your heart is just like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Well, because even the part where they're like padding across the floor, and you hear the kids padding, and then you hear the foot of the raptor as well, and they're making the same sound until the raptor stops and like taps his giant claw that he's gonna like eviscerate them with, and you're just like, oh my God, A, raptor is sassy, B, children, you need to run. Okay. Yeah. We know what this claw is used for. Let's go. Yeah.
So do you think it was that raptor that was blue?
No.
Was that Chris Pratt's raptor? Or?
No, I don't think so. Because in the show, they say he has been training them since they were babies.
Oh, right. You're right.
So I know. So no, these are like newly bred raptors.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. It's not blue then.
No.
So stupid. I hate that happened.
Wait, but don't they get killed by the T-Rex at the end?
Oh, not blue. That's the thing that really ticked me off about that movie, is like the two other raptors gone. Nobody cares. And then the end of the movie, the T-Rex kills that other dinosaur thing. I don't know what it's called, and like teams up with Blue to kill that other dinosaur. Oh. And then Blue is like standing there with Chris Pratt, and then the T-Rex looks at Blue, and then Blue looks back at the T-Rex, and the T-Rex almost shrugs his shoulders and walks away like this, like we worked together on this and now we're friends or something. It's literally the worst thing. If it had just it would have been pure Jurassic Park style if the T-Rex turned around and just fucking ate that raptor, and then it just like would have saved the whole movie. But instead, it's like somehow the raptor, the T-Rex, and Chris Pratt are all friends, and it's like, why did this happen?
Well, exactly, because that's the first time you see the T-Rex for the whole movie, was when it comes out at the end, and you're like, how are they friends? Are we supposed to know about this? Like, are they communicating some other way that we don't understand? Yeah. Like, what is going on exactly? And the fact that a woman in heels can run faster than a T-Rex blows my mind every time.
Yeah, it is the worst ending of all of the movie.
Oh no, the Jurassic World number 5, whatever it is, the ending of that is much worse.
I don't even remember the ending of that.
The ending of that is they find out the little girl's a clone, and then they feel bad because they're about to be killed because they put gas in the pen where the dinosaurs are being held. And they're like, we don't want the dinosaurs to die. So they open the giant doors and they just let them into the wilderness of like Manhattan or something, or New Jersey.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And that includes like raptors and stuff. So I was just like, you're just gonna let them go into the wilderness with a bunch of people who are probably gonna die now? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem. So,
yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, they are making another one. So that's supposed to come out next year, I think.
So is that one based on all those dinosaurs being out in Manhattan?
I hope it's a continuation, because a lot of the same people are in the movie. So yeah, like I don't know. Yeah. I also hate the fact that they made Dr. Wu the bad guy in the Jurassic World movies.
Right.
I don't understand why he would be the bad guy. It just makes no sense. I mean, like, I know he comes back just to make a connection to the previous movies and how they would have gotten like the technology to make it, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Right. I understand that part. But why does he have to be the bad guy? Why is he suddenly this crazy capitalist? You know, like, why is he trying to like steal embryos and sell them to like drug dealers and stuff? It just made no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I only watched that movie one time, and it was a while ago, and it was definitely something I was on my phone most of the time. Mm-hmm. I was not paying close attention to what was going on. Yeah. I should give it another watch. Is that one on Netflix?
I actually have no idea.
Okay.
But I have watched both Jurassic World movies twice.
Okay.
And they both annoy me.
That's fair. I mean, give it a third go and it might win you over. I don't know. The third time it was just like, you know what? This is kind of fun. I'm going to let it go, you know? But I was so overwhelmed with anger the first time. And then the third time I was like, maybe that's just where I'm at in life. That's what the pandemic's done to me. I've just accepted it for what it is and learned to live with it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Sorry, the second Jurassic World movie is called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is not on Netflix, but the first one is on Netflix. So
it is. Yeah. I think that's why I didn't watch it, because I couldn't find it.
So... But you can rent it places, but I don't want to rent anything. Why am I doing that for? I'll just wait. Because what's going to happen is Dominion's going to come out and then they'll put it on Netflix.
Oh, for sure.
It'll be fine. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's just like, I think the problem too is with every movie that comes out, especially now that it's been over 20, almost 30 years since the first one came out. They're just like, we have to do everything to top this. So CG, dinosaurs all the time, blah, blah, blah. And people aren't actually thinking of the story. But also, I think because the first Jurassic World was based on a book, yes, they changed some of the stuff and everything. But because it was based on a book, there was more detail and background to the characters than there is in these later films where they're just throwing people in.
Right. But there was a second book.
Yeah, that was Lost World.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's nowhere near this nonsense that they're putting out these days.
That's true.
But the sad part is I am gonna watch more Jurassic Park movies because fucking dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, it's true. I love dinosaurs. I don't watch them right away. It's like I don't know. Yeah. I always just like, I never see them in theaters. I always just like wait a really long time. I think I saw the second one in theaters. And then
I saw the second one in theaters too. Yeah.
A bit disappointing. And then I never saw any of the other ones. I would love for them to, like, I know at one point in Toronto, they were screening the first one in theaters for a little bit a few years ago. But I didn't get a chance to go. I would like them to do that again so I can go.
Missed opportunity. Yeah,
it was a missed opportunity. I should have just gone.
Oh, it was probably like the anniversary or something. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm kicking myself for not doing that.
I know. But there's probably going to be another chance to do it. I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll be like the 50th anniversary or something.
Yeah. Or maybe what they might do is, so you know how like they have those like live orchestras that play along with movies and stuff? Maybe they might do one of those with this because John Williams' score is pretty fucking amazing. So that would be very cool.
They did do it. They did
Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
What? I didn't hear about that one. I remember like Star Wars. They did. What's the other movie they did that I also didn't get tickets for because they sell out immediately.
They're very expensive and they sell out immediately.
Yeah. Oh, they did one of the Star Trek movies as well. Yes, they did. It's a lot of space ones. And I know they did like a lot of they did a bunch of video game ones as well, because I know they did like a Legends of Zelda or something, or like a Final Fantasy one. But yeah, they're always cool. But yeah, seeing an orchestra live is always very, very expensive.
Yeah, it looks like it was maybe 2017.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully they'll do it again and I'll be rich enough to buy tickets and we'll go.
Yeah.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, after the pandemic, like what will be a thing? Like, you know what I mean? There's like a backlog of so many things that need to happen. And like, is this the first thing they bring back?
I mean, if it is, I'm there for it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Down for sure. Yeah. No, it'd be very cool to see that. But I'd also like to see the movie too. I feel like I missed out. And yeah, just like as like I was so young when it came out, like I probably didn't watch the movie until 96 or 97, I'd say, when I was probably like 11 or
something like that. Yeah.
Something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I would have been 13 when this came out. Oh, no, I would have been 12 according to this, because it came out on June 11th, 1993. My birthday would have been for a month. So, yeah, no, I was 12 when I saw it, and my parents took me to go see it. That wasn't too bad, actually.
I remember like my best friend telling me that like she saw it when she was like 11 or something, and like, I don't know, lied about her age or something and went and saw it with her like siblings and maybe even her parents too. I can't remember. And like she spent like the whole movie like under her seat, just like crying, like so afraid.
Oh, I believe it. Like this, like you said, this movie is very intense and very nerve-wracking, and it creates this level of tension that just makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. But not in like a I need to leave way, more in a like oh my god, I gotta see what happens, this is gonna be amazing, blah 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 kind of way, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's so hard once you've seen a movie so many times to like pinpoint exactly how you would have felt the first time.
Yeah.
But like knowing how much tension it still causes for me after seeing it 4 million times, like the first time must have been so scary.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was never a fan of like horror films, and still really aren't. But even for me, this like skirts that line between just being like a thriller and horror. Like it's just enough for me to be like, this is not a scary movie, it's not a horror, but at the same time, you make me jump sometimes. I don't know if I like it. Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, it does really walk that line of almost being a horror movie. There are moments of intense like horror. Like it does kind of walk that line a little bit. There are moments that are pretty scary, you know.
I find still to this day the scene where they get the computer working, they get the locks working and stuff, and the raptor like breaks in, and so they're like on top of the roof, and Lex falls through and the raptor jumps to bite her leg. Still gets me every time. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I know she's getting away, but oh, you know,
yeah, so close.
It's so perfectly timed. The angle is in such a way that you're just like, oh, you're seeing all of it, and you're just like, oh my god, her leg is gone. No, it's not. She's fine.
Yeah.
But still, I'm just like, oh, let's go together. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the same like the scene where they're driving away with Malcolm and what's her face? Ellie. And the hunter dude. I can't remember his name.
Muldoon.
They're driving away and the T-Rex is chasing them, and it's like the objects in the mirror closer than they appear, and then the T-Rex kind of like bites and you think it's like biting them, but then it's like it misses, and you see the car pull away, and like it's still like every time I'm like, whoa, it's there.
It's so good. I know. Like the thing is too about the character Muldoon is that he's actually kind of a one-note character that is done so perfectly that you just love the character. Like he doesn't grow, he doesn't change. He comes across as like, you know, the quiet brute kind of thing. And he's like, I'm just a hunter and I'm here to keep these things in control. That is it. And, you know, when he dies and, you know, when he says his classic line, clever girl, you're just like, what? Oh my God. You know, and it comes at him and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like that one raptor is just like laughing. It's like, you thought you were going to get me? You know, it's so good.
It is. That is a really good scene. And it's like not totally expected because he's not a bad guy. Even though he's a hunter, he's not a bad guy in the movie. And really, he's not that many good guys die in any of these movies. Like, I don't know really, I can't even name another good guy that dies in any of these movies. They're always like kind of bad people, right?
Well, it's just that one guy, like I said, that one guy who gets eaten by the 2 T-Rexes in Lost World is the only one I can think of.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't know him.
That's
like,
true.
He doesn't even have a name, right? Whereas like,
oh no, he has a name.
Does he?
Yeah, he's the guy who was on West Wing and stuff. He's that guy.
But there's like no character development for him.
Yeah, but he has the high hide. He says it like 35 times in it. And you're just like, you were in this movie for 20 minutes. How many times have you said high hide? Come on. What's his name? Oh, yeah, Eddie Carr. He's Eddie, yes. Played by Richard Schiff.
Okay. So he's the only other like good person.
I think dies. Yeah.
That was in Jurassic World, right?
No, that was in Lost World.
The second one, yeah.
The second one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. You're right. Yeah, he was a good guy. He saved them, and then is killed.
Yeah, because the third movie they even like gave up on giving them cool names. It's just Jurassic Park 3 all of a sudden. Yeah, you don't meet any good guys who die, because even like the guys who like fly the plane and they're playing with the guns and stuff and supposed to be helping them, and like the 3 of them die immediately, they're not good guys. You're like, you guys are a bunch of tools. Like, whatever, go away.
Yeah, no, they're not presented as good people.
No. And Jurassic World too. Well, I guess he has to. So the guy, the rich billionaire who owns Jurassic World, remember he goes up in a helicopter and his helicopter gets destroyed. I guess he's kind of a good guy.
He owns the park.
Yeah.
He can't be a good guy.
Yeah, that's why I was like, can he be the good guy? I don't think he can be the good guy. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So then you're right. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what Jurassic World was really missing too, because when you take away, like, that's also just like what makes the movie scary and unpredictable is when characters that you like die, right? Like it adds this other, like, when I've already forgotten his name, Muldoon dies, and then Ellie is running, you know, he just died, so you don't trust anymore that she could be
make it.
She's just going to be okay just because, well, you know, she's like one of the good guys. It's like, now it's really scary. Like, you know what I mean? You don't know if she's going to make it or not. As she's like running through the that little forest thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, we forgot about Sam Jackson's character. He dies off screen, but he dies and he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, hold on to your butt like 4 times throughout the movie. I'm just like, dude, you have like 12 lines. 4 of them are hold on to your butts.
It's a good line.
It is a good line.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's not a bad guy either, which also made the first movie like unpredictable, right? It was like, here's this guy that he just works there. He's trying to help. He went to do something that was kind of heroic, really, right?
Yeah.
But it's not even like, they didn't even make a big deal of him going out there. They just let him go by himself without a gun.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, it's just over there. I'll just run over and get it back. And you're just like, how come he hasn't come back yet? Oh, he's probably, because once she gets down there, I was just thinking, oh, he's just hiding because he knows the raptors are outside and he couldn't get back out or something. And then when, the arm falls down and she's like, oh, Mr. Arnold, turns around, you realize it's not connected to anything. Then the raptor comes out. You're just like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that is like a terrifying scene.
It is.
Yeah.
They're so good at the buildup or the like, they're not even really jump scares. They're just like properly placed scares that, get the intensity going, get your fight or flight kicks in kind of thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, it really works, like that scene where Malcolm and what's his face are like, they're just on the walkie-talkies and
Hammond, yeah.
They can't help her, right? So it's just like causes this extra tension that like they can hear her. They can hear her scream, but like they can't help in any way. And like she's just on her own. And knowing that Muldoon's been killed and now Arnold, these good guys, anything could happen to her. And there she is alone with this like raptor in the dark.
Yeah. One thing I like about Ellie in this movie as well is that they made her a very rounded female character, because usually like in a lot of movies when you have like a female character who's supposed to be like strong and independent, they essentially make them bitchy, like I don't need anything from anybody, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Where they made her she's a lovely character, she's a lovely person, she's smart, she talks well to other people, she's having a good time, she's there for the trip, whatevs. Yeah. But you tell her she can't do anything and she's like, the fuck are you talking about? Of course I can do it, I'm gonna do it, get over it. And that's one thing I love about this Ellie character. Both Ellie and Lex are that way, where they don't fit into this box that most movies put women in. Like, that's you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. I think Sarah too in the second one, because she was like very much like when Malcolm showed up at the island, she was like, I don't need to be saved. Like, why are you here? Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm this educated person that decided to come here. Like, I don't need you to save me.
Yeah. Which I thought was great. But at the same time, they were very much on the cusp of her being like that, like bitchy person. Yeah. Which kind of annoyed me.
She also kind of needed to be saved because she was making some really dumb choices.
Yeah. Running around with a shirt that had blood all over it. You don't think an animal would smell that? What?
Or when she like brought the baby T-Rex into the motorhome.
Yeah, like that. This is what I mean about stupid smart people. You start off the movie going, oh, these are the best qualified people in their fields and they've done all this stuff and you'll be fine. And then as soon every step they take, they do the worst thing possible. And you're just like, why are these people here then? You could have just been like, oh, I went down this street and picked up somebody and sent them to the jungle. That would have made more sense.
It's true. Yes. But it's nice that the female characters are, I don't know, just not completely helpless, like stupid, screaming, like, it's even in the second movie, the daughter, as terrible as it all is with her. She does defend herself using her gymnastics. It's so stupid, but
it's so stupid. Yeah.
At least it's not like she's just totally incapable of like defending herself. You know what I mean? Like at least they did put that there, I think, for a reason. It just was so stupid. Nobody likes it. But like at the end of the day, it's like at least she wasn't just like this helpless little girl that like defend for herself, you know?
Yeah, who just was like, yeah, she's yelled dad all the time and stuff, but at the same time she kicked ass, had ideas, you know, did stuff compared to just cowering in a corner or something. But they did have her do some of the stupid kid things that they always do, which is like run off in a wrong direction and all kinds of stuff. But
kids will do that.
Kids will do that apparently.
It's
realistic. So yeah, I mean, I still have a problem with all of it, but whatever. It's fine.
What are your thoughts like with the third movie that Ellie and Grant don't end up together?
It's bittersweet but unsurprising.
Yeah.
Like I find, yes, they went through a trauma together, and even though by the end of the first movie, because at the start of it, you know Grant doesn't like kids. It's clear he doesn't want kids, and she's already trying to like convince him, like, if it's your kids, it's different, or if it's a different kid, it'll be different, you know, compared to like this obnoxious example that you've been given. And it's proven that, you know, if you meet kids that are great, you will like them and it'll be fine and it'll be good. But that doesn't mean somebody wants their own kids. But she clearly wanted kids. And I think it's obvious that they mutually broke up. And this was probably the crux of the problem in the relationship. And she's like, I want kids. I got to go, you know. But at the same time, I'm very happy that they were still friends, at least, you know, and that he is willing to try to get along with her kids anyways.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It would have been a different movie if they were still together. Like it's because then he'd have kids at home and then she'd have to leave the kids to go rescue him or something. I don't know what would happen, but yeah, it's interesting though, because it wasn't like, for, you know, a large Hollywood film, it didn't have that kind of like happy ending for the relationship. Because it's interesting with that film specifically, the third one, you have the divorced parents working together to find their kid, and in the end they get back together. It's this like happy ending, right?
Yeah.
These two characters you really hate getting back together, but then the two characters you really love and want to be together like don't end up together. And it's like this reverse thing that's really weird. And like then in the fourth one, in Jurassic World, the reason why the kids are being sent to the amusement park is because their parents are getting a divorce. And then at the end, they're still just getting a divorce. There's no like nothing's like fixed by it or anything, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just interesting that like the third one, it was like these two awful people are getting back together.
Yeah, they should not be together in any way, shape, or form, even throughout all of that. Like they know. Like I think probably like a month after they got off, and they're just like all the adrenaline's gone, their life's calmed down and stuff, they're back home, they separated again. For sure. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, they seems like I mean, they're both really annoying, and it's William H. Macy is like such an incredible actor. This was such a terrible role, you know, like it's just like disappointing, and there was no depth to that character at all, and like
none whatsoever. Yeah.
Then they just like they make up, and now they're not getting divorced, or like the mother, I don't even remember what her name is. She like the scene where like her boyfriend or whatever falls from the tree in the like parachute, and he's just like a corpse, and it's like she's like a little bit scared by the fact that it's a corpse, but like there's no like mourning period over
none
like
whatsoever.
finding your dead like partner. Like it was just like, oh, I'm just gonna like get back together with my ex-husband.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like that scene where the corpse comes down and she gets tangled up with it and stuff, and she's screaming and kicking. I was like, oh my God, that is actually like a realistic reaction to that. That's really good. And then she storms away into the jungle as they're running from dinosaurs that are trying to kill them and eat them into completely nowhere. And then the husband follows her, gives her a hug, and then they're just like, hey, dinosaur eggs. And then that's it. That is the whole mourning period. Yeah, nobody mentions him again. Nobody cares about him again. Nobody's like, hey, what happened to that guy? Nobody. Nobody.
Or even like the traumatized child they find who would have like witnessed his horrible death. He doesn't even talk about it.
He doesn't even talk about it. Yeah. Like, but none of it makes sense. Like, just none of it makes sense. Like, how did he survive, for example? Like, I understand what he did, and I know he's read Malcolm, not Malcolm's book. Well, he read Malcolm's books, but Grant's book as well.
Better.
But at the same time, I don't think they had like, you know, diversion tactics for raptors as a chapter. Like
I'd also like, why are all these kids reading these like scientific books? Like these aren't like just like fun books about like dinosaurs. Like this is like scientific research. All these kids are so into that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in the first movie, it's kind of explained. You have a grandfather who's obsessed with dinosaurs and a kid who's a giant nerd who also likes dinosaurs. So he read the book. That's fine. I understood that one. But this random kid, it made no sense to me. It made no sense
to have read his book.
Yeah.
And there he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ian Malcolm's book too. He is a statistician who's into chaos theory. That is not something a little kid randomly picks up and is just like, oh, he seemed full of himself when I read it. You're like 12. Get over yourself.
It's very true. Well, I mean, there are a lot of parts, you know, there are specific scenes in these movies that don't make any sense. I know you pointed out before about the scene with the T-Rex coming out of the
paddock. Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, there's no drop when the T-Rex walks out over his fence. Mm-hmm. But then a minute and a half later, there's like this deep drop that everybody's being thrown over this like cement wall.
Yeah.
This like giant cliff just kind of appears out of nowhere.
Well, the thing is too about that scene. So they have the goat on like a ledge thing and just waiting to be eaten or whatever. Then the T-Rex shows up, eats it. Its head is above the car because that's how the leg falls onto the top of the car. Right. But also when you look over, the ground is at like the T-Rex's neck for some reason. You're just like, either T-Rexes are much bigger than I thought, or this is a short T-Rex. I don't know. Either way. And then afterwards, he steps out and you're just like, oh, you're at ground level. How did that happen, even though you haven't moved? And then the car goes over in the exact same spot and you're like, it's a cliff.
Yeah, it's a huge cliff.
Just like, this makes no sense, but it's still very exciting. Because to be honest, it was probably the like 20th time I watched this movie where it's like, wait a second. What is this is wrong. What is happening here? And then the internet was just like, oh my God, wrong things in Jurassic Park. This is impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know why I always like in my mind made up for it. Like that it was like the car got pushed to the left and that's where that cliff is. But it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I keep trying to think, I'm like, well, maybe what it is that there's like a dip and it comes back out and there's a hill. But then if you look at the scene, because they show the area after while they're climbing down and stuff, and it's just a tree on one side because that's how the car ends up in a tree.
Right.
And then on the other side, you see just a long blank wall. So you're just like, none of this is, I don't think the T-Rex climbed up the tree to climb out. I don't think that's how that worked.
Maybe that's why they have such little arms. They're good for climbing.
Ooh, maybe. They're just like, I can hold on to the tiny branches.
Yeah. The scene that always really bothered me, I mean, there's a few of them, but one that always really bothered me is to go back to that scene where they're all in that room and Alexis is like on the computer trying to get all the doors to lock. She's like, I'm a hacker, right?
And it's the Unix system, but it's visual, completely visual.
I wish every computer had that. That would be really helpful. But that's not even the part that bothers me. The part that bothered me was Grant and Ellie are holding the door. And
yes, I know where you're
Ellie is trying to like, Grant's yelling at her to get the gun. And she can't reach it with her foot because she needs to hold the door shut because the raptors are there. And she keeps reaching and reaching, and there's so much tension. And then Tim is just standing there behind Lex. And like at one point, like almost like drumming on the back of her chair because he can't. He's so worried and has nothing to do. And it's like, no, Tim, go get the gun, Tim.
Exactly.
Get the gun, Tim. Like, like why? Why are you standing there? It's not like he's like, you know, a toddler. He's like 12 years old. He can go get the gun.
Like, like he doesn't have to shoot it. He just has to pick it up and give it to an adult.
Or even kick it towards them so they can reach it. Like there's just, you know, not a helpful kid.
Yeah. The other thing that, like, not just the visual representation on the screen, but the slowness of the mouse movement drove me nuts. Because it's just like, oh, we have to make sure the audience sees all of it. And, like, she's holding the mouse. And, like, we know holding a mouse is just, like, you know, 6-inch movements across your whole screen and stuff. But she's like stretching her arm on to the other side of the table. It's over here. Just like, no, that's not how it works.
That's how they worked in the 90s. Don't you remember? I don't. Yeah, that whole scene is bothersome. Everything about it. Yeah, it's a frustrating scene.
Also, one thing I picked up. So, you know, a couple of years ago, there was a big, you know, controversy that, you know, was a spoiler to everybody, is that Mac or Apple doesn't allow bad guys in movies to use their technology. So it's the way to pick out like a bad guy in a movie is to see if they're using a Mac phone or not. And if they're using a Mac phone, they're a good guy. If they're not, whatever. So in this one, there's a scene with Wayne Knight at his computer. And they do, it's when he's like synchronizing his watch and he's like clicking his watch and then clicking down on the keyboard. They do a close up, like they zoom in, and it's a Mac. It's a Macintosh. It says Macintosh. It's got the Apple, that's the rainbow and everything.
Really?
I'm just like, what? I guess you hadn't put that policy in place yet.
Yeah. What nerds discovered that?
Right. Yes. And I also love the fact that Wayne Knight's name is Nedry, which is just like D and R and nerdy, you know, transposed. Right. You guys aren't even, you're not even trying.
Yeah, that's not even a name.
Yeah. And I also thought of another continuity problem in this movie that really frustrated me. That has to do with Wayne Knight's character. So, you know, when he gets eaten by the whatever dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because he's lost, and then he like hits a tree and goes over like the side or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he sees the road, but it's right in front of the sign for this dinosaur, like that enclosure. But the thing is, that enclosure was the first stop on the Jurassic Park ride in the car, like the start, where they looked out and they didn't see anything and the car kept going. So there should have been, how is that the same road that goes to the dock? There's no track on the road. There's no nothing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, how are you there? That doesn't make any sense. So that was the other thing that bothered me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I I have no idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to see an actual map of Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
how it's all laid out.
Yeah, where are these attractions exactly? I
Where
would
are
like.
these attractions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me about it too is like the whole time they kept calling it an amusement park. I'm like, it's a fucking zoo, guys. It's a zoo.
Yeah,
It's a zoo.
Yeah.
Like I know you engineered them, but they are living creatures, and you have put them behind cages, no matter how big the cages are, for people to come and stare at and point at.
Well, I think one of the reasons why they don't call it a zoo is because there is a bit of this commentary on, not treating animals like they're alive, right? Like in our society, and it especially becomes more apparent in the later films with the Jurassic World, right? Where it's just like they're mistreating the animals, or in these little cages, like, and like they are living, breathing animals. So it's the fact that they are treating it like an amusement park and not a zoo that's like actually really problematic, right? Like they don't treat like they're alive.
Well, but I think my problem is too, because even if they called it like a living museum or something, I'd be fine with it. But my thing is that an amusement park has rides. And I know at the beginning where they're sitting down in that one room and they're like, oh, it's kind of like a ride. Fine. But there's no, like, is the car tour considered a ride? So so it's just one ride for the whole thing.
Well, yeah, because it's like they don't want, like, it's like they're basically not acknowledging that they're living creatures. So they don't want to call them living things because they're, treating them like a commodity rather than like a living, breathing thing, which is like, like Malcolm saying, like, you can't control like nature. You're pretending like it's not nature. It that you can control it, that it is just like a commodity. And so I think that's why they stay away from language like zoo or living anything or animal or anything. They're products.
Yeah, they call them creatures, and they call them dinosaurs. But they don't call them animals or the doctors do. They call the doctors call them living animals. But yeah, no corporate individual calls them a living animal. That is for sure.
Yeah. And then, I mean, in Jurassic World, that like the lead lady, I can't remember her name. She, is it Claire? Yes, Claire. She, there's that scene where they think that dinosaur escapes, but it didn't actually escape. It's like hiding in the pen or like whatever. But like they had kept it in this, like in captivity in this tiny little area for this giant dinosaur without socializing it or anything, because she really just like refuses throughout the whole first half of the movie to acknowledge that they're animals, right? Like it's she doesn't treat them like animals until it's like she sees like the dying brachiosauruses, like there's like, because that thing just like mauled them all, and she's so upset, and then she's like that it kicks in for her that it's like they're actual animals, like not I don't know, like
well, I think for a lot of the movie she calls them assets instead of animals.
She refers to them as assets. Yeah.
I think that's definitely like a distancing mechanism, because if you can treat something horribly, you have to ignore the fact that it's alive and whatever, or be a psychopath, then it's always fun.
Yeah. One of the other scenes that like to me was just kind of ridiculous and didn't make any sense is in the second movie, at the end when the lawyer is in the ship with the baby T-Rex. And then I don't know if it's the mama T-Rex. You called it the daddy T-Rex, but I always referred to it as the mama T-Rex.
Yeah, because it is the dad T-Rex, because they mention the main hunter dude, I forget what his name is. Played by Peter Postlewaite. Oh, Roland. So he's like the main hunter guy who like tells them like, you don't want to be here, set up shop over there or follow my rules or get out of here. He's that guy. And he says, I see the dinosaurs. I don't need any payment anymore. What I want is to hunt a T-Rex, a buck, and kill it and take it home. That's going to be my payment. Then he's like, okay. And at the end, when they're not at the end, but when they're getting ready to leave the island and they've packed up all the dinosaurs and they only have one full-size dinosaur, he says, the bad guy, Peter, like the corporate shill who gets eaten at the end, he's like, oh, we've got your prize, the buck, and we're gonna take him back. And that like buck means it's a boy. So I was like, oh, it's the daddy.
Right. Gotcha. I forgot about that. And I was like, when the dinosaur like looks at the baby and it's just like seems like such a proud mama moment that it is killing this dude. But yeah, in that scene, the lawyer dude or whatever he is, he's like with the baby T-Rex and the buck, the daddy T-Rex comes and like sneaks up behind him, which is like doesn't make any sense. It's like this giant dinosaur creeping down into this ship.
That's on water at that point.
On water, doesn't shake the boat, doesn't make a single noise, and just creeps up on this dude to like attack him or get his baby to attack him. That part also didn't make any sense to me. But
also the thing that bothered me about that scene is, so you can see him creeping in the background and you can see the doors open and he's so much smaller than when he like burst open the first time, because when he burst open the first time, his head is like half the size of the opening.
Right. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And even when they tranquilize him and he's sinking back down, again, his head is like half the size.
Yes.
But when you see him sneaking in, he's just like a little guy in the background. And you're just like, I think you're having proportion issues, CG guys.
Agree.
Yeah. So that part really annoyed me. I also am mad about the part where the T-Rex, first of all, the T-Rex breaks out of a ship that is beside water and leaves. And then they say, how are we going to find it? They say, follow the screams, whatever. And then they're like, well, where do you think he's going? Oh, he's going to go find a source of water. He was beside water.
I guess
what are you talking about?
Salt water.
Maybe, but also pool water isn't better. It's a lot of chemicals.
I think animals will drink it though.
I guess, yeah.
They won't drink salt water. I think that's all it was.
It also was? Okay. But also in that scene when he's drinking the pool water, you find out he eats the family dog. And I was real pissed about that. I was just like...
That's right. That's another good guy that dies in the list.
Yeah. All puppies that die were a good guy. That's wrong. Yeah.
I did like that scene though, like where it's like the little kid sees the dinosaur, but like his parents like don't believe him. Like,
yeah. I love too. He doesn't even start screaming. He just gets up and he's like, "There's a fucking dinosaur outside. There's a dinosaur out the window." And the parents are just like, "This is what happens when you get fish." Blah 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 blah. Yes, I did like that whole thing, but I was still mad the dog had to die. Very upsetting.
Very sad. Yes. Yes.
He looked like a very nice dog too. So all tail waggy and whatnot.
Well, I'm sure the dog that played that dog is, well, you know what? It was 1993. He's probably not with us either.
He's probably legitimately dead. I mean, I know it's Jurassic World. Jurassic World was 1997. Still dead. Poor dog. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Jurassic World kind of just like, I watched it on Tuesday, and I must admit I liked it more than I remembered liking it before.
Right?
Yeah.
It grows on you.
It does grow on you. It really
Grows
does.
on you.
I think it's just because it's kind of, if you don't pay too much attention to it, it's just like a fun adventure. Yay, adventure,
Yes.
you know.
Agreed.
But then when you pay attention to it and you realize everything about this movie is wrong and it's stupid and it's cruel and makes no sense, then you're just like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Like there's no way the government of the US is gonna okay, you know, a giant dinosaur being transported into the middle of San Diego. Especially after, like, you know, 5 years before, I think is the timeline in the movie.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs got out and murdered a bunch of people on an island. So I don't know. I think
know.
That would be a problem.
You know, America be crazy. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, they do some crazy stuff over there sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, like more often than not. Crazy happening there. So it could happen if they felt like they're gonna make money or be the first to do it. You know, they might. You know, but you know, it's interesting because you do hear like stories about like cloning and stuff, and like there are things like this kind of taking place now. Like I don't know that anybody's cloned a dinosaur, but
well, to be honest, I believe it's Grisham who wrote this book, right? Or no, Crichton wrote it. But I believe Crichton's like inspiration was cloning technology that was happening at that time. Like it was just before, the sheep dolly came out or whatever. That was like in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And people were losing their shit about it, you know, cloning technology, we're all gonna lose it. And then we had all those movies about like cloning and the wrongs of cloning and TV shows about clones and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So like it's very much, you know, in that vein, but I think it does point to the question of like, just because we can, should we? You know, because stuff like this leads to, you know, like Blade Runner, where you have like another slave race being created, or it goes to Jurassic Park, where you have crazy animals killing people, or, you know, it goes to, I don't know, Space Above and Beyond, where you have like, you know, random space jockeys protecting the Earth and they get blown up all the time. Like it can go into horrible places, or it can go into great places where you're just like, my dog died, I want a dog exactly like it. Okay, here's your new dog.
Yeah, I think that's something that's like really they're working on right now. It might already be happening, I think.
Yeah, totally possible.
Like I think I've heard of that as a thing.
Yeah, but I think the sad thing is that no matter the good intentions of somebody creating any technology, somebody will find a way to abuse it or use it in like a awful, evil way to oppress or kill or destroy or something at some point in time.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, like, to be honest, like these Jurassic Park movies, like they've developed, you know, viable cloning technology, and I'm very surprised it took until the second Jurassic World movie for them to be like, oh, here are other implications that this was used for. Because in it, you find out that they've cloned a little girl.
Right, yeah.
And you find out that she's not a little girl whose parents have died. It's a clone of this man's daughter, who he's been saying was her mother the whole time, who's dead.
Right. Yes.
So like it's the first implication that this technology is being used in a different way. But as soon as they were like, Hammond did what? You know, this technology exists. Oh, we're going to start using it for different things. You know, that's what happened.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? Like as soon as they have a major breakthrough and they can see all the other things that can be done with it, there's really no stopping them, right? Like it's such a gray area because there's so much good that can be done with cloning, like cloning organs for people who need like transplants and stuff. Like there's so many good things that can happen from it. And then you can also see through movies like this one and others, like what could possibly go wrong. And then what's to stop anyone? What rules are in place to really stop people? Because you have a judicial system that doesn't necessarily keep up with technology as fast as it's evolving. And it's like, so you can't necessarily prevent people from inventing these things or moving forward with them, even though ethically, morally might not be right. Nothing to necessarily prevent them from doing it.
Yeah, but even if, like you said, even if it's technology, like say he created just to clone organs for, you know, liver failure and heart transplants and blah, blah, blah. It would take years and years and years and years and years for them to put, you know, things in place to stop them from abusing it or to overly capitalize on it or, you know, torture people with it or something like that, right? And yeah, that's where the bad will come in. People will abuse loopholes in the system and there's nothing you can do about it until the laws are in place or until you find a way to stop them from doing it.
Yeah. Jurassic Park, you know, with them doing all this stuff, I think I mean, it was a bit like it's before its time, really. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know there was like a little bit of that going on. Like the idea of cloning was really new and the books were written and I don't know, like that quote, I'm forgetting exactly how it is, but like you never, you were so busy thinking about whether you could, you never stopped to think whether you should.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so perfect, you know, it's just like, just sums it up so perfectly that it's like, you know, science really is evolving so quickly. And it's so hard to say you shouldn't do that or you should stop because you don't want to stop progress. Like, isn't it Elon Musk who's like right now experimenting on monkeys he's like, there's something been inserted in their brain so that they can do things telepathically. So they can
yes, I did hear
video games and stuff telepathically. But it's just like, is that a good idea?
Yeah.
You know
We've all seen Planet of the Apes, guys. Right? Come on.
It's like, just because you can does not mean you should. And like, but there's nothing in place other than, you know, I mean, there was some limited human or animal rights laws, very limited ones. We treat animals terribly and everyone gets away with it.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's really nothing to stop someone like that who has billions and billions and billions of dollars, one of the richest men on the planet, from just doing whatever, you know, like whatever he feels like, whatever crazy idea he comes up with, throwing so much money at it.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is they get away with this because, you know, their first thing is like, do you want us to test on humans? Do you want us to do this way? This is how we've done you know, experimentation before to help our modern society and blah, 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 blah. Because back in the day, there were absolutely no restrictions. They tortured all kinds of animals to do all kinds of crazy things, you know, to get better makeup and good perfumes and adhesives, and they're still doing all of it. But, you know, it's still under the guise of scientific research compared to torture, but it's still uncomfortable. It's still wrong on so many levels. But there are so many people who are so obsessed with like our world still needs to evolve. We still have to learn how to do things and technologies and blah blah blah. And like by now there has to be some other way for us to do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, really the only power you have, you know, is like as a consumer, as like what you buy, how you use your wallet, you know, and it's so frustrating because I feel like you have to do so much research buying products and understanding where they're coming from, and it's time consuming, and it's not possible to like clear every single supply chain and know exactly where every single piece of a product comes from.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what it's come to, is like it's on the consumer, because none of these companies care at all. They might pretend they do, but they don't care. All they care about is money. And that's really like the only power you have is to do your research, you know. Don't buy a Tesla. Stop ordering shit from Amazon. And, you know, when it comes to cosmetics, checking that they're not tested on animals, all of that stuff. And it's time consuming, but it's really like the only power I feel like I have over any of it, you know, is to just, this guy's batshit crazy and I'm not buying, not that I could afford a Tesla anyway, but like, I'm not buying from you. Okay. Like,
you're not saving up for the Tesla.
I'm not saving for a Tesla. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I'm not buying a Tesla.
Like I find like these rich billionaires are more and more turning into like comic book villains, and it's just so like
it's true.
It's gradual but ridiculous and very obvious at the same time. Like they're clearly they're genius billionaires who are megalomaniacs. Yeah, you want to take over the world. You want to do some crazy shit. I get it. But God, don't try to be less obvious about it. And then, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because it's also just like, I don't know, like it's so hard to, how do you stop it? Like, you know what I mean? Like globally, like if the American government told him to stop experimenting on monkeys, he'd just go to another country and do that research. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like there's no way to really like stop.
But that's how a lot of companies do it. They're just like, oh, I can't do this here, I'm just gonna go over there and do it. And then, you know, what they bring into the country is technically legal and technically fine. So they get away with it. And there's so many people out there who are just like, oh, here's a thing that's cool, or here's a thing that's cheap, I'm just gonna buy it. Compared to like, where is this coming from? Who made this? What is this made of? And it's hard. Like I know for a fact, you know, I break sometimes. I'm just like, I just need something cheap, and I'll get somebody to order something off of Amazon for me. Fine, right? And then I'm just like, oh no, I've contributed to the system.
And then it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, does it like really even matter? Like, should I feel this much guilt over this tiny little thing that I do, and there's all these people out there doing all these like way worse things? And it's like, how much of my time do I need to spend on this when, like, you know, I don't know how much of a difference in the grand scheme of things it even makes. But you know, and then on top of that, like, how do you stop progress? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's some of this scientific research could be used for good things too. So how do you say like this shouldn't happen? Because you don't know until they do the research what its potential is. You like, you know what I mean? So like, how do you
balance that, and how do you stop it? Exactly. But I think too, with our capitalist society, the focus on activism for the small man or the small woman or the basic everyday person, It's like, you're the one who has to do anything. You're the one who's ruining the world. Like, because even with climate change and all that kind of stuff, it's the little person has to do all the recycling, but 100,000 people could recycle, but one plant can put out quadruple the amount of pollutants than those 100 people recycle, those 10,000 people recycling. But the people recycling are the ones who are like, oh my God, I have to do this to save our planet. Yeah. Whereas, the plant pumping out all of this pollution is just like, and I'm making stuff.
We've been brainwashed.
We have, yeah.
Because recycling is like it's less than 10% of anything actually gets recycled anyway. So we're going through all these motions to make us feel better and not think about things, because I put it in the blue bin instead of the black bin. And that helps you sleep at night, rather than if you put it all in the black bin, you might actually stop and think about what's actually happening. And like, why are we like how much you're actually wasting. And if you did that for like 3 months, you placed every single item you receive into the black bin instead of the blue bin, you might actually reassess things. And it's such a basic thing. Like, it doesn't matter though, because it's like you put it in the blue bin, it ends up in the black bin later on anyway. You're just not seeing it, right? And it's like, it's gone, and it makes you feel better because you imagine that it's getting reused somewhere, and it's not. It's just in a landfill.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you have all of these companies or like restaurants and stuff now, which I think is great. They, you get takeout food and you get them in reusable containers. You don't throw them out. But unfortunately, maybe I eat out too much or whatever, but it's also been many years since they've been doing this. I have so many of these containers, I can't reuse all of them. Yeah. I don't have storage for them. Yeah. So then I end up throwing out like every other one. So like half of them get thrown out or put in the recycling anyways. Yeah. And I'm just like, am I saving anything? Did I help anyone? Oh no, I'm doing this wrong. You know what I mean?
But then people are doing that, but then they're also buying brand new plastic Tupperware containers made of plastic, even though there's like 800 plastic takeout containers sitting around you. Yeah. It's like, no, I've got to buy this new plastic to use for my lunches. I couldn't possibly use a takeout container. And it's like, again, you're being brainwashed to buy new things that you do not need. You're receiving them for free every time you order food. Just reuse them. Like, you don't need to buy new plastics.
Yeah. And like, I try my best to use them and all that kind of stuff, but I literally have this like giant stack that's just there. We all do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not recyclable. They're not recyclable. They're just, you have to put them in
So washing them and putting them in recycling means they still ended up in the garbage anyways.
Yeah, we don't recycle black plastics. What? So anything black is just going in the garbage.
Well, now that saved me some time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah. And that, like, this is why it's also problematic too. It's like, again, they're telling us, well, now we're giving you a reusable container. And it's like, well, the reusable container only gets reused by a small portion of the population, maybe once or twice, not even long term. Mm-hmm. And then it ends up in the landfill. And it won't decompose ever. And like, there's just, I mean, it's just so bad, like what we're doing. And none of us are stopping to really think about it.
I don't think people aren't stopping to think. I think a lot of people are just at a point where they're just like, if I don't do this, then what am I going to do? Right? Like the idea of, like one of the biggest problems with stuff going in a landfill is that garbage bags are plastic, for example, right? Mm-hmm. So you can, like, if you're not in a place that like you can compost or something, you throw everything out. And technically, if it goes in a landfill, it composts inside of a plastic bag, but doesn't help the environment or, gets put back into the soil or anything because it's trapped in this container. But the problem is that if you put garbage in, say, paper bags, it leaks everywhere, it makes a mess, it does all of this stuff. And you're just like, well, now I have to buy paper bags for my garbage, then I have to buy all these cleaning products to clean it, which are using more chemicals, that's also ends up being bad for the environment. Then you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Then they try to come up with like thinner bags, or they try to come up with biodegradable bags. But the problem with biodegradable bags is that if you have a bag for too long, it biodegrades and then you can't use it anymore, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So like people are trying to come up with solutions, but they're not there yet. Like they haven't figured it out. And the problem is it's taking too long to figure out. There are people who are willing, to change their habits. They're willing to do these things, but they can't because it's not available and they don't have the ideas to do it.
For sure.
So, yeah. I mean, I definitely, I'm sitting here looking at my recycling and I'm just like, I feel bad. I do feel bad sometimes about it because I'm just like, I live by myself, but sometimes I do create a lot of waste. And I'm just like, what the fuck do I do with all this stuff? Yeah. And then you end up just throwing it out because I can't recycle every single bottle I have. I can't turn every bottle I get into like a cup or something, or I can't, I squish all of the, aluminum cans. It goes into the recycling. I take down pizza boxes, but pizza boxes, if they've got oil stains, that part has to be cut out because that part can't be recycled and contaminate the recycling, blah, 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 blah. And it's just this like horrible cycle of like, well, today I'm tired. I'm just going to throw everything out in the garbage. And then I feel bad about it like for 5 days later, Yeah.
So, I mean, it's funny. It's just like you feel bad about it, but then it's like you put it in the blue bin and you don't feel bad about it, but it's literally like basically the same thing. And then, but like somehow we've convinced ourselves that it's not, and it's crazy, and it's marketing, and like we've been sold this idea that recycling's the answer, and it is not the answer. We need to reduce waste, and like we could do it like right now. And everybody needs to get on board, like these, and especially these companies, because again, it shouldn't all be the consumer having this guilt all the time or feeling bad every time they take the garbage out. It's like these companies need to change. Yeah, they do. They really, really do. Because they create more garbage than any neighborhood can create within like a day. And so it can be, but then a lot of the companies are like, well, people keep buying it. People want it. So we have to make more to like supply and demand, And you're just like, I get it, but maybe try to do better, try to figure out a better way to manufacture, try to figure out better packaging, try to figure out better waste management, try to figure out all of these things. But then you have all these companies who are just like, it's going to cost us $10. That's too much. It's going to, cut through our bottom line. You're just like, and then you have like reports, like, there's a report today about Apple supply chains cost them $6 billion last year. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if a supply chain problem, you've still made like $800 billion last year. Yeah. And you want me to cry for you about your $6 billion? Please. Yeah. Please. I'm not sad for you. And then that means they're going to hike up prices on things. They're going to make... They're going to make a new computer that you're going to need a new cable for. So you got to rebuy all your cables. Like, yeah. And then all the old cables go in the garbage. And we're back where
we started. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, recycled animals. Dinosaurs are back. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I got nothing. Now we've got on a tirade about corporations and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I guess the movie is about that kind of tirade, because one of the things Hammond, every time there's a problem or anytime anybody mentions anything, Hammond keeps saying he spared no expense. Yeah. And I was like, sometimes you can't just throw money at a problem, sometimes it's something else. But also with him saying that all the time, when when Wayne Knight's character, the bad guy in the first movie, is bitching about money problems, all this kind of stuff, I'm like, so the guy who's creating your security systems, doing all your automation for your company, you went with the cheapest guy? And that really confused me.
Well, I think he said that, didn't he? Like, to the lawyer dude or whatever, who I don't know who that guy was at the beginning, the one that's purchasing the DNA from him.
Oh, him, yes. So yeah.
So when the bill gets set down, he looks away like he's not going to pay the bill, and then what's his name? The nerdy guy. What is his name?
Nedry.
Nedry?
Yeah, Nedry.
Nedry. Okay, yeah. Nerdy Nedry.
Yeah.
So he says, "Don't get cheap on me."
Now
he said that was Hammond's mistake.
Yeah. Well, because and too, when Hammond is bitching and he's bitching, and Hammond's like, I'm not going to get into the discussion with you again, and he's like, people would bid, 3 times as much for this work usually that he does. And I'm like, why would you skimp on the one thing that is like most important to this issue? Because if he paid good money for it, I'm not saying nothing would have gone wrong. It's just the reason things would have gone wrong wouldn't have been some asshole doing it on purpose.
Yeah. But who knows, right? Like, I mean, he was probably paid decently, but he's just also great.
I don't know. He was getting, what is it? 1.5 million or whatever to betray Hammond. And to be honest, based on the size of the place and the work he was supposedly doing, he should definitely have gotten over much more than $1 million to do that kind of work. Like, right. That's a crazy amount of work over a long period of time. And from the looks of it, he was doing it by himself.
Okay.
As well, right? So if he can get bought off with $1.5 million, he was not getting paid enough money for what he was doing.
It does seem like not very much money for a bunch of dinosaur DNA.
Yeah. But it was the 90s, so I guess maybe, I don't know. It seemed like a lot more.
5 million.
Yeah.
Million.
Yeah. So yeah, but apparently he spent tons of money on ice cream, a really good chef, some cool merch, and that one room where they're having dinner and he's trying to like sell it to them, and it's just like a bunch of projectors projecting random things all over the room. What is that room? What is the point of that room? But he obviously spent a lot of money on that room.
I mean, that's just like a boardroom, I felt like,
Yeah, but you'd have dinner in there with the weird lighting and the weird pictures, and it's like only lit by the projected pictures, it seemed like.
Yeah, it looked just like somewhere they would do like presentations.
I guess. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But my other thing is so when the kids get back to the compound as well, and they're like, there's a big spread of like fruits and vegetables and like desserts and all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, is the chef still there? Did the chef get eaten? Like, did nobody care about this chef?
My theory is that the chef was working on the food before, but had to leave to catch the last ship.
Okay.
And threw out all the food out there because otherwise it would have just gone to waste. So they just put out everything.
Yeah, but also that means that food had been sitting there for like a full day.
Oh yeah, but it was like mostly cakes and stuff.
That's true. It was like, it was a lot of fruits and vegetables and cake. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
it wasn't like a turkey or something.
Yeah, Yeah, that is true. That's true. Okay, now you put that way, okay, that makes sense. But she did have Jello, because when she started shaking and the Jello's just all wobbly in her spoon, I was like, I could go for some Jello right about now.
I hate Jello. So gross.
What? Jello is great.
I don't do Jello.
I don't know. There's something. It's practically a Newtonian liquid, and it's just like squishy and juicy, but also solid. You gotta bite it. It's great.
No. When I was a kid, my parents took us for a weekend to this like hotel resort thing,
Mm-hmm.
and at it there was like an all-you-could-eat buffet, and they had at this buffet so much Jello, like so much Jello for reasons I have no idea. Like it was like the only dessert, and it was just like all you could eat Jello.
Yeah.
So my brothers and I literally ate all you could eat Jello for an entire weekend. Yeah. And I have never been able to eat Jello since then. And it was only red Jello. So it was like we ate red Jello like 4 times a day for like 3 days. And I was just like, I can't. Really.
So what you're saying is you've eaten a lifetime's worth of Jello in 3 days and you're just over it.
Yeah, like I feel nauseous thinking about Jello. Like,
okay, see that I understand. I get that because that's happened to me with a couple of things. But yeah, no, I get that totally.
Good. I'm glad you get it.
What else? I don't know. I think we've covered a lot with these movies.
Yeah, I mean, we did basically 5 movies.
We did. I mean, the 5th movie we couldn't talk much about because neither of us remember that much about it.
Yeah, no, I should rewatch that one.
I just remember the dinosaurs being let go at the end and the girl being a clone. Sorry, spoiler? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
This whole show is about spoilers. What are you talking about?
That's true.
Why is anybody listening to this if they haven't watched these movies?
You never know. Somebody might be curious. They'll be like, what?
I wonder what those Jurassic Park movies are like. I'll check out this podcast and hope there's no spoilers.
But also, I think at this point, especially the original one, it's almost 30 years old. I think, you can't yell spoiler anymore at it. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
I think if anything that's over 10 years old, you can't yell spoiler at. No, I don't care if you haven't seen it. It's 10 years is more than enough time to watch it. Sucks to be you. But anything under 10 years, you should be like, did you see this? You should see this. And then, yes.
I completely agree. I really feel like there's like a 1-year limit on things. Unless it's like something like you're talking to somebody and they've never heard of it before, then you cannot just continue and spoil it for them. But if it's something like everybody knows exists, like Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Or like, oh my God, I can't believe Darth Vader was Luke's father. What?
That happened? What? Jeez, Macy, you're ruining it.
How could you? Yes.
I was gonna watch those Star Wars movies.
Or Titanic. Oh my God, when that boat sank? What? That's crazy. I still remember when that movie came out and people were just like, don't tell me the boat sank, you're spoiling it. I'm like, you realize that was a real thing that happened, right? The boat was gonna sink no matter what.
Yeah.
Isn't there a story about what's his face? Why can't I remember anybody's name today? The guy who doesn't age. I am not helping.
Character or actor?
Actor. Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Yeah.
Yes. Apparently, I think there's a story about him and the I think it's Titanic, where he was getting fired from his job, or because of this he got fired, where he was like telling everybody like the boat sinks in Titanic or something like that. And I was like, and he got fired because he was spoiling the ending of the movie for people. And I was like, wait, what?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was, oh no, maybe it wasn't Paul Rudd. Maybe it was somebody else.
Who was firing Paul Rudd? Like,
no, but like it was one of those things. No, I guess he would have been famous at that time already because he would have already done Clueless. I forget who it was. It was some celebrity. They were working at a movie theater at the time, and they're like, I got fired for telling people that the boat sinks. And I was just like,
that's
what?
Insane. Hopefully they were just kidding, because like otherwise that's insane. But I guess it's pretty funny. Like if you worked at a movie theater and every single person that came in to buy popcorn from you, you were like told them the ending of the movie.
But I mean, if I go see a movie called Titanic, I'm going to be like, I'm assuming the boat sinks. Because if the boat doesn't sink, that would be a spoiler.
Yeah.
But, like the boat sinking, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. But I remember being told that at some, like I saw the movie and I was like, and I was talking to somebody and like, well, the boat sinks. They were asking about it. I'm like, well, the boat sinks. And to me, that's not a spoiler because the boat fucking sinks. That's just from 47 or whatever. You should know this information.
But yeah, I don't know. These people sound pretty stupid.
Yeah. I was in high school at the time, so it was high school. I'm only friends with one person I knew from high school, and she was definitely not the person who said that. Also, I would have seen this movie with her. So,
well, if they're listening to this podcast, y'all are stupid.
Oh God! Now I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to find this later because I think it's gonna take effort to find. It was like a blooper clip from, not a blooper. It was like a clip from like a talk show or something, and they were telling this story.
Okay,
well, all right,
we'll do a follow-up podcast
about it.
Do you have Titanic in the?
I do not. I kind of refuse to watch it again because it was ruined for me the first time I watched the movie.
Someone told you the ending?
No. No, I saw this movie when it came out in the theater. The first time we were watching it, we were sitting there, and I am not a crier at movies. I never have been. But we were sitting there, and there's the part where Jack dies. Spoiler, whatever. And he's being sunk and whatever. And I'm sitting there with my friends. Everybody in the theater's all sniffling and all that kind of stuff. And this woman is sitting beside me. And I don't know what made me do this, but I looked over at her at this point in time. And she's got like a tissue in her hand. And she outstretches her hand and starts waving at the screen. And she's like, "Oh, Leo." Like she said this out loud. Okay. And I burst into hysterics. No, I couldn't stop laughing. This woman starts giving me dirty looks. My friend sitting beside me, she heard it too and thought it was pretty funny. But I just could not stop laughing for the rest of the movie. And that's supposed to be like the heartbreaking part and like the conclusion is about to happen and everything. And I was just like, I can't do this. And so we watched the end. This woman is dead-eyed trying to murder me with her eyes and all kinds of stuff. The lights go on and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" and walks away and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, that was just fucking hilarious. Now, my friend talked me into seeing it again so we can get like the proper emotion, whatever. And that scene happens again in the movie, and all I could hear in my head is, "Oh, Leo." And I can't take the movie seriously. I just can't take it seriously. Even though my other friend was obsessed with it. Not the friend that I know still, but another friend we went to high school with. Right. She went to see it 8 or 9 times in the theater.
Right.
And I was like, you are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That is fucking crazy.
Maybe seen that movie twice. Twice. Not positive.
I've seen that.
It's good. It's all right. It is a Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've only seen that movie in its entirety twice in the theater. I have seen it. It's been like on TV and stuff. So I've seen like pieces here and there, whatever. But yeah, no, I can't. I just can't, because every time the saddest scene of the movie comes on, I start to giggle. Yeah. So I can't do it. No.
That's fair. That makes sense. It's I haven't watched that one since it really came out. I think maybe probably grade 8 or something.
Yeah. Like, I think I would think visually the movie would relatively hold up, but I don't think the story would hold up very well.
No,
I doubt it.
But why do you think it wouldn't hold up?
Well, there's the whole storyline about, like, I know this is how it was, but like there's the steerage at the bottom of the boat where all the poor people were, and then you have the rich girl who's like, she's sort of like a tourist, checking them out or whatever. But also, while she's with the rich people, who does Billy Zane play? Like her fiance or something? But he's like super mean and like horrible to her, doesn't understand her at all and stuff. And then there's like a whole bunch of like cheesy lines, like "I'm the king of the world." It's just lame. Yeah, it's just aged poorly. And the song "My Heart Will Go On," every time I hear that whistling, whatever, I'm just like, no, I can't do this. Celine Dion beating her chest with the Heart of the Sea on her and stuff. It's a whole thing. I don't think it's aged that well. I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch it. It's been so long. I have no idea.
Are you gonna sit through the like 3.5 hours to verify? I
don't know. I mean, there's so many other movies out there.
Exactly.
I haven't seen or that I love to rewatch. I don't know. It's so long for something that like when it came out, like it was enjoyable or whatever. I remember seeing it in theaters with my parents, but it wasn't like some life-changing movie for me. It was no Jurassic Park. Okay,
that's true. It's no Jurassic Park. That is very correct.
Yeah.
I mean, and James Cameron had done his mind-blowing movies before this, which was Terminator 2 and Aliens and stuff. Yeah. He was very good at sequels for a long time. Definitely not Avatar. Ugh. Anyways. But yes. But I have to I see if I can find that clip and who said it.
Yeah, let's know.
Yeah. Anyways, so so last thing,
okay,
about the movies, Jurassic Park is what we're talking about, not Titanic. What is your overall recommendation for the Jurassic Park movies?
What do you mean, my recommendation?
Like, what should people watch? What should they watch? Or maybe they should just watch all of it. What do you think?
They should watch it all. Yeah, they should. If you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been, but there's these movies called Jurassic Park. The first one, obviously, the best movie of all time. Then it goes downhill, but still very enjoyable. Like I think the second movie, even the third movie, which is not good, it's still enjoyable to watch. And Chris Pratt whispering to raptors. If you just have to watch it a few times, and then it starts to make sense. Okay. But no, I seriously, I couldn't wrap my head around knowing I don't think I have a friend that hasn't seen it, all the Jurassic Park movies. Maybe I got a few, and I just we don't talk about it, but they've definitely seen the first one. Like, I don't think there's anyone out there that, like, I don't know. comment on this podcast and let us know if this is your first time hearing about.
Or maybe we finally talked you into watching it.
We want to hear from you.
Yeah. We want to know what your experience is. Definitely start with one and keep going if you choose, but you got to watch the first one at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they all are entertaining. They are all entertaining, fun watches for sure. Some better than the others.
Yes, I will agree with you on that level. Yes, you definitely have to turn your brain off. And I think the problem is because I watch these movies like back to back. So it's like I watched one on Sunday, then I watched one on Monday, and then I watched one on Tuesday. It was just so clear the differences in the story and the structure and the visual style of the movies that you're like, I just can't help but be like, what did you do? The first one is a masterpiece. What have you done with everything else? But yeah, once you spread them out and you can turn your brain off, you're just like, it's fun.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's fun. Just don't overthink it. Just enjoy it.
Just roll with it. You're like, it's dudes and dinosaurs. Just let it happen. Or as what is the Mr. DNA says, dinosaur. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for being here this week.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. I was really looking forward to this, and this has been great to talk about these movies.
So was I, as you can tell by the exclamations on the email I sent you to remind you this was happening.
Yes.
This is definitely what is up there as one of my favorite like rewatch and chats about a movie. So I'm with it. It's good.
Awesome.
Loved it. Well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email to ohmyshelf@gmail.com. On the next episode, we'll be talking about some butt-kicking action with Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Hope you'll be here to listen.
Can I just play a short clip at the end of this?
Yeah. I can't hear it if it's playing.
You can't hear it? Hold on.
No.
Does it not does Zoom cancel out like things on my... Okay, maybe I gotta do it on my phone.
Maybe if you do it through like a share screen or something? Do you want to share your screen and see if that would work?
Okay.
I think you're set. You can do it.
It says it's disabled.
No, it's not. Oh, there we go. Okay, can you do it now?
Okay. Just gonna play a short clip.
Okay. Oh no. What? No, the sound isn't coming through.
What?
What's that? Is this? This is totally shitty food, isn't it?
What kind of friend would I be if I didn't play this for Sean?
Why are you doing this to me? I'm like trying to help you. Like, what could she possibly be playing? This is gonna be amazing. And then as soon as it starts, I'm just like, oh shit, this is shitty food, isn't it? Oh crap. That is the best and the worst thing every single time I hear it.
It has 87,000 views, and my guess is that like 85,000 of them are Sean.
Oh, yes, it is. For sure. For sure. Oh my God. That was amazing. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.